ready. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
Let's get ready to rumble! Seattle's got to make a stop. Amon-Ra St. Brown's going to throw it back to Goff! Who had that on the bingo card? Touchdown Lions!
This is a Huddle Sports Network broadcast. You can find us on Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, Facebook, and of course YouTube. Get all your NFL news here.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Main Event. Been gone for 2 weeks, been on vacation. Did you miss me? I certainly missed you. Happy Father's Day, a little belated to all the dads out there, all the worthy dads, I should say. And it got me wondering, I wonder if Aaron Rodgers sent a card to Kirby Joseph yesterday for Father's Day. Be interesting to see because he'll get to play Kirby Joseph again in Week 16 as a member of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Welcome to The Main Event. I'm your host, Mike. We are broadcasting live in Roku TV and the Huddle Sports Network. We're also broadcasting live in the 360 Radio Network. Go to 360radionetwork.com to hear some awesome rock and roll, some local Michigan rock and roll. You can even hear my band on there, and you get to hear this program every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Big thanks to that network for letting us broadcast there. Also broadcasting live into our own Facebook page. If you're not following us already, please go over and follow our page, The Main Event. I started with a heck of a lot more followers than this, but I had to start from scratch. So I really appreciate your following me on that page. Thank you. So let's jump right into it. We're here to talk about football, specifically NFL football, even more specifically Detroit Lions football. That's right. But it's the off season. I mean, it is the 16th of June, and you folks are here watching me, anybody, live, or you're watching it on the rebroadcast. We appreciate you as well. Please click the follow button. Please click the like button. Hit a heart emoji, something. If you don't know, that's how podcasters and content creators, that's how we get paid. That's our payoff for doing it, is by you clicking an engagement. So please do that for us. So, like I said, I've been on vacation for 2 weeks. I had a wonderful, wonderful vacation in Florida. Took my whole family to Disney World, rented an Airbnb right on the beach. It was unforgettable and absolutely outstanding. So I'm recharged and I'm ready to go. But right after I left, and I did the show 2 weeks ago, and I said goodbye, there was a bombshell in the world of the Detroit Lions. And I know that you've probably already heard it from 1,000 podcasts by now. Knuckleheads like me, spitting stuff out. But I need to do my turn because the Detroit Lions no longer have the services of Frank Ragnow, who will be on the all-decade team for this team. He might even be an all-time Lion after only 7 seasons. Our all-pro center, Frank Ragnow, retires after 7 seasons at the age of 29 years old. Frank Ragnow played in 96 games as a Detroit Lion, the only team he played for after being drafted in the first round from Arkansas. And the Detroit Lions are left looking, where do we go from here? But it sure does seem like it's all making sense now. Put it in the comments. I want to know what you think about these points we're about to make now about Frank Ragnow. Did Brad Holmes know? Did he know that Frank Ragnow was going to retire? And is that why we saw 2 big offensive linemen in the draft? Is that possible? I think it is absolutely possible. Also, could this be tied to letting Za'Darius Smith go? And now all these reports, immediately after Ragnow retires, all these reports of Za'Darius on the red carpet at the BET Awards with his girlfriend Cash Doll from Detroit, asked, where are you going to sign? And he said, y'all know where I want to be. I want to be in Detroit. Later that day, somebody from the audience yelled, when are you going to sign that contract with Detroit? Za'Darius Smith said, real soon. So now Frank Ragnow retires. This frees up $9.2 million in cap. By the way, the Lions have the second most cap money in the NFL right now. So Is it possible that Brad Holmes knew? That's why we saw him draft 2 offensive linemen. We saw him draft a defensive lineman. A lot of reports that he wanted to get up and he wanted to get a edge rusher. He said every time we try to move up, they'd get picked right in front of us. Possibly Bengals defensive edge Shamar Stewart at number 17, whom the Lions brought in for a 30 visit. Maybe that's a player they were targeting. We're going to talk about Shamar Stewart more at the back end of this program as well. But it all seems to point towards he knew he was going to get Zadarius Smith back, and he knew that he was going to lose Ragnow. Losing Zeitler hurt. It really did. You lost 40% of your offensive line with Zeitler and Ragnow. And those are elite players. Those are not just above average players. Those are elite players. And you lost them. So are we going to be fine? I think so. But let's not poo-poo the whole idea that the Lions suffered a major blow by losing Frank Ragnow. Amon-Ra St. Brown actually said in an interview, he might be irreplaceable, right? When the Lions, top 3 offense in almost every category last year. I think they finished ranked second overall in offense. And for a high-scoring offense to click and work, you need 3 things to be connected. And that is the play caller, normally the offensive coordinator, the quarterback, and the center. Because the center is identifying the protection, identifying the defense, and calling the protection for the line, communicates that to the quarterback, who then communicates to the whole team. And all of that flows in reverse order back up to the guy calling the play. Those 3 need to be in sync, at least on the same page, in lockstep, for everything to run smoothly. The Lions have lost 2 of those 3. Losing Ben Johnson as a play caller to the Chicago Bears, and now losing Ragnow to retirement. So let's not poo-poo the idea. No matter if you're a diehard Lions fans like me and a homer like me, let's be realistic. And this could mean some growing pains out of the gate for the Lions. Fortunately, they brought in John Morton for the offensive coordinator position, who is a veteran, been around the best of the best, a disciple of Sean Payton, just like Dan Campbell. So a lot of the core philosophies are going to be the same. A lot of the personnel that the Lions have now are compatible with some of those Sean Payton Saints teams, be it Goff and Drew Brees notwithstanding. But Jared Goff is going to be huge this year. If we're going to overcome Frank Ragnow, a huge portion of that falls on Jared Goff. He's got to step up now, and whoever's snapping him the ball, he's going to have to help there and help pick up the slack there. Oh, by the way, he's also got a new OC in his ear. So it's going to be very interesting the first 4 or 5 games of the season to see how the Lions come out of the gate. I mean, we can't overstate it, what losing Frank Ragnow. You don't just replace Frank Ragnow, okay? Oh, I'm going to make a meme now. Viggo Mortensen. One does not just replace Frank Ragnow. There it is. Coming on the Main Event Facebook page. That's what the page looks like. Shows all the last coaches of the Detroit Lions, from Rod Marinelli to Jim Schwartz to Jim Caldwell to Matt Patricia. Tell me that's not an accurate description, a depiction of Matt Patricia. If you look close, there's even a pencil stuck right there. And then Dan M. F. Campbell. Also, let's welcome to the show a couple of my friends I've got to bring in right now. First of all, he's the host of Wednesday night NFC North Open Mic Trash Talk Show, and that is on the Huddle Sports Network on Roku TV. His name is Chad Datema. Chad, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks, Mike, for having me.
That picture, your avatar there actually looks better than your actual picture. So
look at the people.
I like. Oh, see, you ruined it. Welcome to the show, Chad. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm so good. So good. I'm so stoked up. And I'm reeling of I know that people have beaten the Ragnow thing into the ground, Chad, but any closing thoughts on Frank Ragnow before we move on in reflection of what this guy means to the Detroit Lions?
I got a couple. It sucks. I mean, it's probably worse than like losing St. Brown, honestly. If St. Brown, I mean, the guy gave up 6 sacks in 7 years.
Unbelievable.
Thousands of snaps. And like I heard you when you were talking earlier, he's the captain, man. He is relaying to everybody what he sees in front of him. You can't replace that, dude.
No. And no matter how good of a job the replacement does, that it's going to take a while to even get close to that level. So let's look at who the Lions do have. We know that Graham Glasgow's experience, he's run this particular offense at center before, but all of the first team reps so far in OTAs have been taken by Tate Ratledge, the second round pick from Georgia, who played all guard. He played guards in college, but there was an interview with Hank Fraley this week, and he said that it's going to be important for him to get as many reps as he can at center with Tate Ratledge, because that is where they see him. They see him as a center. And saying that is so serendipitous, because we don't know. It goes back to what we say. Did Brad Holmes know? Did Brad Holmes know that Hank Fraley said, this guy can play center? Let's draft this guy because we know we're going to lose Ragnow. The best center in the draft was already off the board by the time the Lions drafted at 28. This gives us depth. If Frank decides he can go, we've got a great guard here. But if we lose Frank, we start training him right from OTAs at center. And they see what they got. And by the time they get to training camp, by the way, which is the 27th of July, if they see when they get to training camp that this kid can play center, it'll be his job to lose from there on out. What are your thoughts on that, Chad?
I agree with it. And I believe Glasgow, you know, he's getting up there in years. We know he plays guard. He's played guard, tackle, and center. He's just the plug and play when needed. I doubt he even, you know, if this kid can do the job and he wins the job, it'll be Glasgow that's just a replacement in case somebody goes down.
Right, you can plug Graham Glasgow in 3 positions on the interior line, and that's amazing. And that gives us versatility. But you know the Lions don't want to go into camp with that being the plan at him at center. He's always there to bail you out if something happens, because it always does. When asked about this topic, Lions coach Dan Campbell said he, quote, I like the young guys that we have, unquote. And he pointed directly at Kingsley Eguakun, Eguakun, Eguakun. Let's just call him Kingsley, because that's what
there you go.
That's what Dan Campbell did. He just called him Kingsley. And then, of course, the aforementioned Tate Ratledge. They also drafted Miles Frazier from LSU, who has played center. And they picked up a free agent named Tristan Colon, and he had 7 starts last year with Arizona and had a 72 PFF grade, which is not bad for those 7 starts. So we've got a lot of pieces up there of potential options to play center. It's just that none of them are going to play to the level that Frank Ragnow did to make this offense so prolific. So anybody who thinks that this offense is going to pick right up where it left off, I think that's very, very wishful thinking. What do you think on that?
No, I totally agree with you. It is a big missing piece with the guy's going to go in the Hall of Fame after, even though only playing 7 years. I mean, with those numbers, you can't replace it, dude. And here's what I think they're going to have to rely more on the run. I think we're going to see some more outside stuff. And Goff got sacked 33 times last year. I think so. He's going to be sacked more this year. There's no question. And every time you get sacked, you're risking injury. I mean, a lot can go wrong.
Yeah, and those some of those magical plays that Ben Johnson called, he's not up there calling those plays anymore. So those two things combined, it could definitely mean a step back for the Lions. So you said Hall of Famer, like it's a foregone conclusion. You really think he's going to be in the Hall of Fame?
How many centers have put up the numbers under the number of snaps and only given up 6 sacks?
Yeah, but how many centers have been put in the Hall of Fame after only 7 seasons? I can answer that one. None. 0. None.
Well,
Let's compare. Let's compare people who have played 7 seasons.
Okay.
Shannon Sharp played 7 seasons. He didn't have as many injuries as Frank Ragnow, so in the same amount of time, he played 112 games. And also, he had more playoffs. He had a lot more playoff games. And Frank Ragnow played 96 games, so they're still close. But that's a whole season difference. Even though they both played 7 seasons, Shannon Sharp played a whole season's worth of games more than Ragnow, 96 games, and he was a skill position player. So it's easier to see the production there. But let's take a look at another guy, Tony Baselli, who played interior offensive line, or he was a tackle, offensive lineman. He played 91 games, 5 games fewer than Ragnow. Did not play in a lot of playoff games, probably about the same amount of playoff games. 91 games, and he gets in the Hall of Fame like on first ballot. He had 4 Pro Bowls and 2 All-Pro. Frank Ragnow had 5 Pro Bowls and 3 All-Pro. Better.
How many sacks did that other guy give up?
That stat I didn't look up, but when you look at number of games, though, it's relatively the same metric. So it's apples to apples. And he got into the Hall of Fame on roller skates. He was that good. A lot harder for a center to get into the Hall of Fame, folks. You got to be, very, very special. But is it too soon for that? Is it too soon to start talking about Frank for the Hall of Fame? I don't think it is. I think he's one of those bubble guys, probably right on the line for, the unbiased Hall of Fame voter, which I am not. Right? If it was up to you and I, he'd be in, period. But it's not up to us. Could be up to you, though. Put it in the comments. I want to hear what you got to say. Let's see who we got here today. Motown Mitch is in the house. What's up, Mitch? Oh, our favorite, Elise Memes. Great to see you as well. Go Lions. Davey in the house. Good evening. One Pride. And then that's just me sending out the link to everyone. Mitch says, switch Fatty Matty P and Caldwell took over an absolutely loaded roster. Took it nowhere. Ran off the talent and left the Lions depleted of talent. Are you making a case, Mitch, that Matt Patricia was a better coach than Jim Caldwell? Let's put that back up and read it slower this time. Switch Fatty Matty P and Caldwell. Let's take a look at that picture.
Without a period. Caldwell.
Switch Caldwell. This isn't in any order, my friend. This is just in chronological order. This is how much we like him. He says switch him.
Mitch.
Caldwell took it over an absolutely loaded roster, took it nowhere, ran off the talent, and left the Lions depleted of talent. What do you think of that comment, Chad? I'm not in agreement with that 100%.
No, well, what I think is, Mitch, it would make it a lot easier for us if you put periods and commas where they belong.
Aside from that.
But aside from
Mitch's been on the show before. He knows we don't give 2 shits about that.
Let me put my own punctuation in. Hang on. Switch Fatty Matty P and Caldwell, period. Caldwell took over a absolute, it should be N.
Should be N.
Absolutely loaded roster. Should be a period. Then there should be
No, it could be a comma. Stop. English
right.
class.
Hang on. Then, roster took it where ran off.
Brother, you can barely read. I'm taking it off of there. Stop.
What?
Stop it.
No, the whole problem in the history, I'll tell you, the Lions' history problem is ownership, loyalty to the wrong people, overspending on players, not being willing. Dude, I didn't want to lose Zeitler, but we had to. We've got competent management, ownership. Rod Wood, who everybody laughed at because he knew nothing about football, is a financial genius, keeps us under the cap. realizes, hey, so no, all those guys suck. Caldwell was okay.
Right. I think that's the overbearing point that you're trying to make there. Caldwell was okay. You say he did absolutely nothing, took it nowhere, but he got him 9-7. 9-7, and they didn't make the playoffs. But they made it to 9-7, and then he was fired.
Wasn't he the coach when we went to the playoff game versus Dallas, or not? Am I mistaken that? I thought it was Caldwell. Our play before our 2023 playoff game. I think our last playoff game was versus Dallas, and wasn't Caldwell the coach?
Caldwell take us to the playoffs? His last season, he did not. That's what I'm referring to. 9-7.
The season before his last.
9-7, he didn't make the playoffs, and he was fired after going 9-7. If he'd have made the playoffs, he would have saved his job. Yep. Matt Patricia, on the other hand, is an absolute pariah. Ask the Philadelphia Eagles, who started 10-1, and when he got put in charge, tanked. And then come back the next year, get rid of him, and come back and win the Super Bowl the next year. So I just can't get behind that take, but I love what you're saying, Mitch. And I'm sorry that we got a grammar Nazi here, a spelling Nazi on the show today, Chad.
I'm just trying to read it, and I run on sentences. You know, I got ADHD.
Right, and that's my fault for trying to make you read. My bad.
I'm kidding, bro. No.
Moving on.
You're
Next
good,
one.
Yep.
A little tidbit interview with Amon-Ra St. Brown this week. He was asked about his knee surgery. He had some knee surgery. They've been real hush-hush about what this was. And he came right out and said, quote, we just had to clean some things up, unquote. And then he is feeling good. And he does say that he'll be ready for camp, even though he's not participating in OTAs. He will be ready for camp on July 27th. So nothing to worry about there, you St. Brown lovers. One thing that we talked about at the beginning of this show was Aaron Rodgers playing in Pittsburgh, and he returns on the revenge tour to the NFC North this year, playing Week 8 against Green Bay, his old team in Pittsburgh. He starts the season Week 1 at the Jets, the team he played for last year. He'll get the Minnesota Vikings at home in Week 4, and then he'll travel to Chicago in Week 12, who he has owned the Bears and then publicly said, I own you to the Bears fans. So that one's going to be fun. Week 16 at the Detroit Lions. How do you expect the Pittsburgh Steelers to fare, assuming that Aaron Rodgers plays in every game? How will he do against his old division, the NFC North, Chad? I got him going 2-2. What do you got?
1-3.
1-3. And which team do you think he beats? Green Bay, the Jets?
No.
How about
he loses to the Bears? He goes 1 win, 3 losses.
Loses to the Bears, loses to the Lions, and loses to the Vikings.
Yeah, no. Win. He beats the Bears and then loses the other 3. Sorry about that.
Okay. Beats the Bears and loses to the other 3.
Yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to beat Green Bay in Pittsburgh. And I think he's going to beat the Jets Week 1. I think the Bears, the Vikings, and the Lions will all take him out. So I got him going 1-3 out of 4, like you. But I do have him winning the Jets game. How about the matchup in the Jets game? Last year, Justin Fields played for Pittsburgh and Aaron Rodgers played for the Jets, and they play each other in Week 1. Nice job, schedule makers. All right. As promised, we are going to talk about Shemar Stewart, the 17th overall draft pick by the Cincinnati Bengals. He's a defensive edge rusher from Texas Tech University. And he is currently the only drafted player who hasn't signed his contract in the first round. The only first-round draft pick who has not signed his contract yet. And that is because the Cincinnati Bengals have removed language from the standard contract that all the rookies pretty much sign a standard contract. But this is a contract language dispute. It's called a default clause. And It lets the Bengals off the hook for future guaranteed money that's built into the rookie contract. And Shamar Stewart is refusing to sign it because 31 other teams don't have it, and this team does. This is a bad, bad look for the Bengals. They're already going through the Cincinnati, the Trey Hendrickson debacle with his contract. They just signed Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, 2 wide receivers, the same position, big time money. They are in disarray here. So that's one thing that's going on. Before that, he actually was refusing to sign because during OTAs and that they had, even before they sign their contract, when they show up, they sign a little thing that says, hey, you do a little walk around here. If you blow out your ACL, here's a guarantee that you'll have. Well, the Bengals didn't have that either. So he didn't do anything. He has been present, but he has not been participating in any way with the team. So how do you think this shakes out, Chad?
Oh, man. Shame on Cincinnati. And
Why?
I don't think it's gonna, because a guy could get injured at any time, and this is going to be his career, and his money should be guaranteed if you're going to sign him, and you should have the proper verbiage in there that shows the protections. Obviously, lawyers and his agent have looked at it. He probably didn't even know. Somebody else is the one that spotted it and said, no.
Well, you're assuming that, but yeah.
And look at what they do. Where did Zadarius Smith come from?
Cleveland Browns.
Right. But look what they're doing with Trey Hendrickson.
Right. Okay.
Literally, is Trey.
So I know some people might be saying, well, what I want to talk about the Lions, right? Well, how does this affect the Lions? Well, I'll tell you how this affects the Lions. Shamar Stewart, the player in question, was one of only 3 defensive ends that the Detroit Lions brought in for a 30 visit. So there was some interest there. Brad Holmes has already shown that those players that he brings in for 30 visits usually get drafted, or players that they draft came in for a visit. So this is one of those players. And he said publicly that he was trying to move up and get an edge, like we stated before. Shamar Stewart may have been that edge. So how does this affect the Lions now? Well, Shamar Stewart has some options here. He may be able to sit out the entire season and re-enter the 2026 draft. He could then be drafted by any team except Cincinnati, including the Detroit Lions. So the Lions might still end up getting their guy. Also, Shamar Stewart could ask for a trade and say, I'm not signing with you under any circumstances, so trade me. And if the Bengals were to do that, they would have to do that. And this is how the collective bargaining agreement reads: 30 days prior to your first game of the season. So 30 days prior to the first game of the season for the Cincinnati Bengals will be August the 8th. The Cincinnati Bengals will have until August the 8th to trade him if that's what they're going to do. After week 10, that is the deadline that he would be able to play this season. If he doesn't sign with some team by week 10 with Cincinnati, no, it'll have to be Cincinnati. If they don't trade him by August 8th, now the team gets leverage, because at that point, the only team he could play for is Cincinnati, and he would have to sign before week 10. So right now, the player has some leverage. He could sit out. He could also go to the CFL right now and start getting paid and play football. He could also go back to Texas Tech for his senior season and get some NIL money and make some money and play football. As it stands right now, he's not making any money and he's not playing football. So it would behoove him to make some decision one way or the other, rather than just let this thing ride out anymore. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Now, he could just sign. They could fix the language tomorrow, and he could just sign, and this is all a wasted exercise. But it's the off season, and I love to speculate because I'm a nerd about stuff like this. If you're a nerd about stuff like this, give us a like or a follow or a heart or something. Who won the off season, in your opinion? That's the question I'm going to pose for you here. Put it in the comments, however many people are watching on whatever platform you're watching on. Put it in the comments. If you are watching this on the rebroadcast, still put it in the comments. Who do you think won the offseason? I'm going to put it in right here. Which NFC North team, I should say, which NFC North team won the off-season? Question mark. Did not looking, hoping all the spelling is good. And, of course, it's not. I put in a P instead of an O, but that's okay. You know what I meant. Which NFC North team won the offseason? PFF released their offseason grades last week, and this is cumulative. This is taking into account their draft, their free agent acquisitions, and it also takes into account what they lost in the offseason as well. But this grade was made before Frank Ragnow retired. So I'm willing to take a little bit off of this score for Detroit. But let's start at the top. The NFC North team that graded the best by PFF for having the best offseason is no surprise. It's the every offseason winner, Chicago Bears, who received an A+. What's that, Chad?
National champions offseason every year.
Every year, they're the world champions of the offseason. They even go undefeated in the preseason.
Yep.
But they got an A+, and I think it's deserved. I really do. What they did to the offensive line, it can't not be understated. Bringing in Jonah Jackson, Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, a Pro Bowl caliber center. Man, I wish he'd came to the Lions. Ryan Poles getting it done. Now you've got Darnell Wright, your first-round draft pick on one tackle, Braxton Jones on the other. Really going to help Caleb Williams. He's got weapons around him. About the only thing they didn't address was the running back position, which something that we called on this program before the draft, that I don't see them addressing it. They like DeAndre Swift. Roshan Johnson is young. He runs hard. In fact, they got rid of Khalil Herbert. And they do have some undrafted free agent backs that they like in there as well. So Chicago got much better. And if Caleb Williams can take the jump like I think he can, I've been a Caleb Williams believer since the beginning. I know a lot of people don't believe it. Say again?
Can I guess number 2?
Guess who came in second on the offseason grades?
Minnesota Vikings.
Correct. They come in with a B+. Go ahead.
Thank you. I think they did most of it in the offseason by just that offensive line is looking really crazy.
Correct. They added 2 pieces to the interior offensive line. Good players. They only had how many draft picks did they have?
4.
Like 4 draft picks. Yeah, they only had 4 draft picks. So there wasn't a lot they could do. So they did make the most of what they had. They're swapping out Sam Darnold for J.J. McCarthy, but basically it's a 14-win team. They did lose a couple pieces in the defense that has kind of gone under the radar. Was it Bynum that they lost? A good player on the back end. And Harrison Smith, another year older. So I definitely think there are some questions on the defense, but they get a B+ from PFF on their offseason grade. After that, it's your Detroit Lions coming in with a B-.
Yeah.
But this is before they lost Ragnow.
I know.
So I'm willing to knock, I think DJ Reed is a better signing than what's being talked about. And I also think that the loss of Carlton Davis is not that significant, even though he had a higher PFF grade than DJ Reed. I'll tell you why, because we knew Carlton Davis, Brad Holmes knew, Dan Campbell knew, Carlton Davis knew. It was a 1-year deal to play off the remainder of his contract with the Buccaneers, $11 million it was going to cost us. We knew that when we got him. And what did we do? Run out to 15 wins and secure the number 1 seed. So in a way, it worked. Getting tripped up in the playoffs and going under makes it look like it didn't work. But really, it did work. Carlton Davis, we got CB1 play for $11 million last year, Chad. He goes to New England and signs for, you know how much he signed for in New England? $23 million.
Yep.
So
we got DJ Reed for 14, though, right?
Now we get come back. So I'm about to say. So now we get DJ Reader back at 14. It's a steal. It's not. The loss of Carlton Davis can be understated, but the loss of Frank Ragnow cannot. You know, sometimes we like to bring in the opinion of other fan bases as well. We're going to welcome to the show our good friend. He's a Panther fan. Please welcome Will Vogel to the show. What's up, Will?
What's up, guys? I also like the Lions, too. Don't forget about that.
Of course you can like the Lions, but you're not apologizing for being a Panthers fan ever. And I like that. And I can tell you the Panthers for PFF actually got a solid A grade for their offseason. What do you think about the Carolina Panthers offseason?
I thought it was good. We got another wide receiver. We got some good defensive pieces in the draft as well. Yeah, I think this team is only getting better and better each year. Bryce Young is getting more and more confident, I think, slowly.
He's not getting any taller, though.
No, definitely not. But I would say this team is going to hover between 6 and 8 wins, maybe 7. But this NFC South is tough. So Tampa Bay, I still think, is the team to beat. But Carolina's trending upwards. Do I think playoffs in the next few years? Maybe, but at best a wild card. But I don't think they're going to the playoffs this year, honestly.
They just need too many pieces. They need too many pieces.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right on. Good analysis. Thank you for that. Let's see what we got in the comments here. Steve says, "Where's JB?" Just curious. That JB, I don't know. I put it in I put the link out there. I don't know where he's at, but he's welcome on this show all the time. Eric Whitson, what's up? Welcome to the show. Also,
yeah, I saw you drop the link, and I was like, "Oh, I want to catch up with Mike. I like talking with Mike."
Well, thank you. We were talking about Frank Ragnow earlier. Will, I want to get your thoughts on that. As a Lions fan, I know you like the Lions as well. So, what do you think about that? That hurts pretty bad, huh?
It hurts pretty bad. It was unexpected. I remember the day Jeremy broke it. I was like, really? Wow. I knew he was dealing with this injury the last few years, which stinks. And I hate to see him go out like that, especially with an injury that's been hampering him for a little bit. But what a guy, what a great player. The guy's been through ups and downs, and he's been on a steady offensive line with Penei Sewell and a bunch of other guys. But I'm not saying the Lions can't fill the hole, but it is a big hole to fill because Ragnow was consistently solid. And now you're looking at the rookie, Tate Ratledge, as a possibility. And I forgot who the other guy is, but I'm hoping, and I was talking to Jeremy about this when I talked to him last when this broke. I said, I hope the next offseason they bring Ragnow as like an O-line assistant or something like that, so he can mentor the kid and train the kid. And I know these other guys can train Ratledge too, but like I would love to see him do it one-on-one and say, hey, this is how you do this. This is how you do that.
Right. Yeah, I love that call. You know, we don't know Frank Ragnow to know if coaching is something he wants to do, but certainly, I
bet the door's open. I bet Dan even said, hey, you can't do it this year because of the rules, but if you're available next year, there's an open up. But I like Frank. I've always thought he was one of the hardest workers on the team, man. He is definitely going to be missed. And
do you think he was good enough to go to the Hall of Fame? Played 96 games, three-time All-Pro, 5 Pro Bowls in 7 seasons.
I think I don't think he gets in right away, but I think before his time is up for the extent you're allowed to be in, I think he gets in for sure. Because
Right. You're not even eligible.
He's
You're
a
not even eligible for a ballot until 5 years after you file your retirement papers.
yes,
So,
yeah, exactly.
so obviously it's too soon to be talking about it. But when he does come up, that's when they'll start evaluating his career. And I think that if the Lions were to win a Super Bowl between now and then, just one, if they were to win one Super Bowl with this team, that is going to help Frank Ragnow's case to get in. Because a lot of times being a champion is an extra feather in your hat that pushes you over the line to get you into the Hall of Fame, and something that Frank doesn't have. So definitely.
Yeah, he was a solid piece and a well-known piece in the offensive line.
Right. So I'm going to be back next week, folks. Any parting words, Will, before we sign off for today?
No, thanks for having me last minute. I'll try to make it sooner next week. But
thanks for coming on, brother. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Chad, any
yeah,
parting
love
words
talking
that aren't
to you.
related to Bigfoot?
No. I mean, we still got 17 minutes we can go. What's weird is right after he retired, he sold his house at a discount for $800,000. This is like correct. And yeah, and just
Ragnow did?
Yeah, the minute right after he retired at a discount. It's right here, bro.
Okay.
I'm telling you.
At a discount. Right after he retired, he put his house up for sale at a discount. So he could get the hell out of here.
$800,000 it's on Lake St. Clair.
Of course.
And he's a fisherman.
Yeah.
And yeah, I guess fishing isn't good in Michigan.
Yeah. He took the midnight train going anywhere.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining me today, boys. Thanks you for joining me in the comments, and thanks for everybody watching on the rebroadcast. Don't forget to follow our page. It's The Main Event on Facebook. Also, give us give a like and a subscribe to our pals over at the Kneecap Biting on the YouTube channel with Jeremy B. And also Roku TV, the Huddle Sports Network. Big thanks to them. And give a check out to 360radionetwork.com if you like good rock music and an occasional loudmouth talking about the Lions. God bless each and every one of you. Have a great day. Have a great night. Happy belated Father's Day.
Yeah, yo, it's game time, ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports, just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken, stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the Huddle.